Hey there, I'm Eternal, and I'm an object show fan that has barely watched any object shows. We have to fix that. Let's play Object Catchup. Hello and welcome into Object Catchup, the series where we discuss object show episodes right after watching them. Whether they are new or old, famous or unknown, it doesn't matter. We will get to it all. Now, today's episode is going to be a little bit weird because we are going to be dealing with a very confusing little show, but we're going to be dealing with as little of it as possible. So, Object Cringe is a show created by SlinkyBox777 or 777. And this is a show with about 3 seasons, a lot of stuff, things happening everywhere, seasons within the seasons. However, basically, Object Cringe is currently getting a bunch of its episodes, since they're 7 years old, remade, alright? They're getting remakes. And lately, episode 4 remake release of Object Cringe. So, what we are going to be doing for today, the plan for this episode, alright? For this catch up is that we're going to be reaching episode 4 of this remake, and then we're gonna stop there. All right, because I want to follow the remake as it's getting made rather than spoiling myself in the originals and but then having the remake. So I'm gonna watch the remakes as if it's nothing. However, we're doing 1 through 4. Now the thing is, episode 6 is also has been remade. However, it is of course not episode 5 because episode 5 hasn't been remade. So we're going to watch the remakes of episodes 1 through 4. All right. Then we'll be stopping it there. Then when the remake of episode 5 releases, we will be watching that. Okay, we're watching episode 5 alongside 6 as well, because we unlock it in a sense. That will be, of course, in the future when that releases. And then in the future, where an episode of a new season releases, then I'll probably have to bite the bullet and just watch the rest of it, okay? That is the situation with Object Cringe. A lot of these shows that are propping up are very confusing in the nature of how their episodes are structured, because they're built over years of weird, unstable, productions and ideas that then mesh through years and years and disagreements and random lore here and there. So shows just end up being very confusing. But we're going to watch Object Cringe Remake 1 through 4. That is the plan. Okay? Alright. Let's start off here with episode 1 of the Object Cringe remake. It is titled The Moral Implications of Invading a Rudimentary Civilization remake. Let's go. Okay, so I just watched episode 1 of Object Cringe remake remaster of the episode. The moral implications of invading a rudimentary civilization. You know what? Okay. So when you read about a show that is titled Object Cringe, the immediate thought is, oh no. Right? Because, I'm not even gonna lie. As a name, it strikes, oh god, what is this gonna be? Right? However, I'm not gonna lie. It holds itself up pretty well. Right? It's got a pretty solid cast. I see a bunch of different style characters. There's a couple of the main characters. Tomato's extremely loud. Pebble's extremely shy. Muggy is just kind of the sweet fella. Pearly is the egotistical fairy flower style character. We don't get to see too much about Brainy. Glue, but Plank is just random. Glue is just very overexcited all the time. The freaking pipe is the toilet humor. Door is the overly critical. Fidget spinner, I mean, look, the show's old. So that makes sense. Grave is just the pessimistic character as it goes. Table is relatively nice on average. Then there's Toon, because every object show needs Toon to appear at least once. Then we've got Dot, which is just, that weird, the mysterious character nobody really knows, but everybody understands. The blueberry is also surprisingly nice, considering it's a blueberry. But Yeah. Is there anybody else that I forgot to mention? There is there? I mean, there's like somebody. It's like Brainy or Free. Oh yeah, Frisbee. I don't even know much about Frisbee. Frisbee is just humorous, but Frisbee's like the comedian character, I think. So yeah. Um, then we have ourselves. Okay, so the main problem, quote unquote. Okay, I'm gonna call it a problem because I guess it is. Yeah, this is so loud. Just like, just in general, it's not really something you can fix because it's more of a cast problem than an anything problem. But there is just so much noise happening all the time because the characters are just shouters, you know? Like nearly the entire cast is just shouting. Whether it's tomato shouting, table shouting, flaggy shouting, like glue shouting, the pearly shouting, like everybody, grave shouting. Well, grave don't shout that much. Forky, like just everybody shouts so much, you know, and it's just it's so loud all the time. It's very overwhelming, and you know, it's more of a fault of the cast that was chosen. And I'm not necessarily ever surprised by it because it is a show called Object Cringe that expected to be a bit loud in quote unquote, but it is very loud. But yeah. I will say, however, that the voice actors, at least when it comes to being loud, they do a very good job at it. Like the table freaking out scene, I'm not even gonna lie, that was very good voice acting. You know, it was very good voice acting. The shouting felt very real. It was very good. And I was indeed an absolute fan of it. To be fair, I mean, I don't know if I was a fan of it, but I was like overall, it was good. It was a good voice acting. Then we headed into the team picking with our hosts, Good and Bad, which they seem to get along somehow. But yeah, they seem to be both relatively interesting. I mean, Bad just will sort of demolish anybody who defies them, but Good is, I guess, we'll just ignore them. So I guess we've learned. Um, then we have our team picking. We have one of the good things. Something very good that I enjoy a lot is on the top left and the top right. You got to see the teams, like you got to see the teams being formed on each corner of the screen, so you could properly keep up with them. Yes, this is what I like. Graphic showcasing progress is exactly what I enjoy. So that's a great decision. I will say that it is maybe a little. I do find it a little bit annoying that the characters aren't always colored to their color. Like, why is glue orange? Like, what? Like, they are, but they aren't. Then tomatoes green, but I mean, I guess frisbee is red. Well, I don't know. They're not always colored correctly, but yeah. And then our challenge ends up being to name the team name. So the first team ends up disagreeing forever to decide who to who to be. Yet again, they're just doing a shouting contest. I can't tell if Tune, like, or Note or whatever they're called, they speak in like musically, like they speak like this, you know, or they just speak normally. I couldn't tell if they had like two lines. One of them sounded like they spoke like that, but I don't really know. But the other team is with a shit ton of self-centric people, so they end up trying to decide a self-centric team. You see, it's like, what flag? Why are you just shouting up Pebble? Like, it's so loud. But hey, at least Pebble and Mog might get along sometime, hopefully. And then we get the question. So the first team, yet again, remember they disagree. So Fidget Spinner answers what their team name was, and then Grave interjects. So the team is called the Dank Memes That Know the Death Kills. So TDMNTDK, which sounds like a new movie for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but it's not. I mean, it's not exactly the best name. I gotta admit, it's kind of whoa. But what I think of this team, I mean, it's difficult to really gauge this team. But they're more of they nah, they seem to shambolic. I mean, both teams are pretty shambolic, but this team is not gonna ever work as a team. You know, Like, just Tomato by themselves immediately disagree. Like, I think Grave isn't going to cooperate. The Pipe isn't going to really cooperate. A couple of people might cooperate, but they don't have the speaking power to override any decision by somebody like Tomato. So, Fidget Spinner is just dumb. So, it's just not going to be great. If there's any type of challenge where, like, it's like a direct physical style challenge, then yeah, maybe. But like in any challenge where they have to combine, like with forming a team, where they have to agree, no. And then the second team, they ask Dot, and Dot responds, "Bwah," since that's the only sound that they make. Um, this team is more organized because 0.2 is better than 0.1. Like, it's not great either. I mean, it has, instead of having too much loudness, it just has too much ego. Whereas with the red flag being too much ego, Pearly being too much ego, and the weird Dorvella, the British, I don't even know what you are, having too much ego, they just there's just a lot of ego on this team, you know. And the others, they're kind of either not loud enough to be able to speak up against it, or they're too dumb to really ever speak up. So it's not gonna be great. Anyways, who's getting eliminated? I have no idea, since of course the votes are based on a different version of this very show. I don't believe that I don't believe that it is within my wheelhouse to predict who gets out, especially considering that, you know, they were using, who the original voters were using a different episode to vote out characters than this one. If I'm not mistaken, because I checked just because I was curious, Object Cringe 1, the original, is 4 minutes shorter than this very episode. Like, it's half the length, which, you know, and like this episode wasn't very long, so it just isn't, it's just a different thing, you know. Okay, time to watch this remake of the second episode. It is titled The Worst Day of Gravey's Life. Remake, of course. Let's go. Okay, so I have just watched episode 2 of Object Cringe. So, that might be one of the most overwhelming YouTube videos I have watched in recent memory. Um, yeah, we're gonna need to. I don't I don't know where to begin talking about this episode. So we have ourselves an elimination. We immediately start off here with, you know, the classic thing of the show, just a constant shouting contest, because that's what the show is. Pearly screaming. Pearly is interesting in this episode, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah. To be fair to this episode, it does fill in the cringe quota. Like, it is somewhat cringe, you know, like near the beginning as well, with some scenes like Bark for Me or whatever, like, oh, your eyes, or I don't even know what it was. Look, this episode had 1 million things, so it does fill in that cringe quota. And you know what? I'm not gonna blame it. I'm not gonna blame it for hitting the cringe quota. I mean, if it's called Object Cringe, in a way, it'd be worse if it didn't. Like, it's got to be a little bit cringe. It has to live itself up to the name, you know? Like, it just has to. That they made the decision to call their show Object Cringe. A bit of cringe is gonna be needed. So, you know what? Sure, I allow it. I allow it. I'm not gonna critique what it is. I'm not gonna critique the namesake of the show. You know, I review the show for what is it, for what it is, and what it is Object Cringe. So it is supposed to have it. We have well. So first of all, eliminated ends up being a Pipe, which gets eliminated over Tomato after a game of Smash Brothers as a tiebreaker. Um, oh yeah, I forgot about the scene. Yeah, the friggin' good is a cowboy for like a second. Like, that's this. This is so goofy. Um, but then eventually Pie gets eliminated, and eventually they get a TV from Bad. You know what? Okay, Bad. I maybe underestimated Bad. I'm not even gonna lie, because Bad is like weirdly nice. I'm not a very good understander of what this dynamic is. Like, hold on, good and bad. What are you? So you don't act good and bad. You are just two people. One is called good and one is called bad. But like, you're not like the literal embodiment of itself, I think, because it's like, if it wasn't, because like why would bad give a TV, in a sense. So it's like that's a thing, I guess. Well, it's like interesting. I don't really know how exactly that correlation works. Then we have a thing. Oh yeah, good fine tuning session, whatever. Um, the challenge is a death battle apparently. So we end up having a couple of battles with Tomato, which immediately murders Glue. Then we have a bunch of people. Pearly demands a partner for the challenge. By the way, I call him Doherty every time just because I was thinking of the other show that I watch. It's called Chocolate Bar, and that makes a lot of sense. Then we invent Goodette because yeah, Dot immediately destroys the other team. Table figures out how to demolish Planky. Just be like, oh yeah, what does the gun taste like? Yeah, okay, that's fun. Then Pearly ends up showing their soft side. They are hilariously insecure. Like I don't think I've seen a more insecure character like in the ever, to be honest. Like that is crazy. So they're like, oh yeah, for like 1 second. They're literally all bark, no bite. So as soon as Guda is mildly sad, Pearl's like, no, no, it's okay. We can not do it. And then Guda's like, no, but I had to die. So then they're like, okay, I'll explore the world. On the other team, Grave wants to go to the vet to die. 'Cause that's the point of what it is. Okay. Um, Eventually, Brainy was gonna use a lightsaber, but they get stabbed out of their mind. Blueberry's imagination dies, which I'm not sure if you killed Blueberry's imagination or Blueberry just has dementia, because I'm having a feeling that Blueberry just has dementia. They've not understood anything, but apparently Flaggy loses because of that. So, okay, but yeah, Blueberry's not great. By the way, this is like nearly the exact same asset as the one that ends up being used on COTC, which is another show that I looked at. They are so similar. I mean, I understand that it's a Blueberry, but like they're actually just so unbelievably similar. Fork wants Flaggy to murder Frisbee, and then they're having a relationship argument. That's another part that's like cringe, I guess. Um, Tune is singing, so they're having fun, but of course Tomato kills they're pretty much murdering everybody. Um, then eventually they come in. Oh yeah, Good and Pearly ends up going to live in the woods for some reason. Because to escape from the world. So then they're going in. Pebble is pretty uncomfortable with this, but Fuzzle is like, okay. This is the lore that we have, okay? In this show, but we are going to the vet to inject the death juice onto Gray, so that way they die non-painfully. But then we have a hotline person who is there to be like, no, I will save you by injecting to me. And Gray was like, no, never mind, I am going to hang myself. And then Pebble instead, I think it's Hannah. Uh, okay. I mean, yeah. I'm not gonna ever judge. Okay, here's the thing. I'm never gonna judge a decision too harshly because on a remake, because it's a remake. Like it was done. Like this is a thing from 8 years ago, most likely. But like, yeah, it's not great. I must admit, because like it's just kind of weird. Like there's a certain like I understand that is the character, and yes, it is the character, and that's what they do. But there's a certain rhetoric where I think sometimes the joke becomes a little bit uncomfortable, but not in the cringe way, just kind of uncomfortable, you know. Where it's like as soon as we start mentioning hotlines and doing all this stuff, like come on, like I get it, but like please. Let's chillax here for 1 minute on the writing department, okay? Let's not play into this too much. It's just gonna become weird. So yeah, that's a little bit weird. But it's a remake. You gotta remake it. So yeah. They're eventually in the dinner, and Goodet's thinking, "Oh, we're gonna get hunted down because the challenge isn't gonna end unless one of us dies." So then they decide to go to sleep, and Goodet takes the opportunity to have a face off against Tomato right there in the darkness. But the moon is too big. What is going on with that moon? That moon way too close by. That moon's suspicious. That moon gonna be something in another episode. I'm telling you, if the moon isn't relevant, I'm gonna It's gonna be interesting, you know. So that's what they're doing, and then the tomato ends up getting, of course, killed by, no, tomato kills Goodette, and then Pearly eventually gets a little note at the end. Goodbye. May one day you accompany me in the great beyond. And then Pearly is super sad as the challenge ends. Like, here's the thing about this as well, is that, okay, so this story, I mean, obviously it is hilariously sudden. But that's Pearly, I guess. Pearly is hilariously sudden, you know, the switch ups and stuff. But like, it's just that Gooda isn't necessarily gone forever, you know? Like, we're in this timeline where we're having a bunch of respawns, you know, where we have reanimating. And even though, of course, Gooda isn't going to get revived because it's not a part of the challenge, but always could, you know, in a different challenge. Because, like, at the end of the day, that is Good's OC. I think Good likes their own OC, right? So, like, maybe we can invent a reason to respawn them, you know, Pearly can try, right? Like, it would work probably at some point, you know, as a tactic here. So, I'm not necessarily too, I mean, I understand why being sad, but, like, it's not, I wouldn't say that oh, you're memeing the Gravey on. Like, there's a chance that Geta will come back. You know, like, there is a possibility that they could get revived. But eventually Team Boa wins the challenge until the other team says it's opposite day, and then that means that they lose the challenge, even though they won the challenge. So that entire challenge was completely pointless, which is just great. I love that. Love that. Don't you just love a challenge that's pointless entirely? Yeah, it's great. I wonder if they lost a challenge in the original, if they did opposite rules in the original as well, or if they just rewrote this episode, made the wrong team win, and they were like, shit, we have to come up with bullshit. Because that might be what happened. But yeah, I mean, who's getting eliminated? I genuinely have I don't know. It's impossible to really know. It's probably somebody random, probably somebody loud. This is another one of those object shows where, to be fair to it, voting for it would probably be very interesting. You know why? Because, like, um, everybody's so loud and annoying. So many characters are loud and annoying that it again becomes at odds with the concept of voting to eliminate, because, like, there's so many options that are annoying characters that did a bad thing, you know. So in the original, again, it's probably worse because you have less screen time, so it's more likely. So the voting would be interesting. Again, we're not going to be able to gauge it very properly, right? Like, the other time we had a tie and Pipe got eliminated, but other than that, it's not too big a deal. I'm curious whether we'll join Pipe in the Yellow Lands in the next episode. Do I do a prediction? Sure, let me do a prediction. Let me say that fork. Fork. No, not fork. No, yes. Fork. No, glue. Let's say glue got eliminated. If you vote, you will die IRL. But my prediction is gonna be glue. All right. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's not too much else to say about this episode, to be honest. Like, I should probably talk about it for another minute, but yeah, I mean, as far as vibe goes, it is definitely more of a prop. It is more cringy than the other one. You know, it's more unhinged in the jokes. I won't not gonna say cringe. It's more unhinged. All right, with the jokes in the other one. And in general, there's just kind of not too much to say about these little joke shows sometimes. So I think, do I just keep it moving? I feel like I probably just keep it moving. You know? Oh yeah, by the way, the sun has. Oh yeah, the sun has eyes. I forgot about that. Um, I don't know why the moon doesn't have eyes, but the sun has. Okay, no. There actually is something I forgot to say that I was going to say. That's why I was wondering. Oh wait, I'm really fast. So apparently episodes 3 to 6 are coming through, and last time we said 2 to 6 are coming soon, which is interesting. Because that means that I think we only remaking episodes 1 through 6? Because if we're only remaking episodes 1 through 6, then the whole rhetoric kind of changes. Because remember, I was gonna look through 1 through 4, and then I was gonna keep up with the series as it released. But we're only remaking 1 through 6. But then heading into episode 7 and beyond, we're just simply taking we're just going back to the episodes from 7 years ago. That doesn't feel right. You know, because like what decided that 1 through 6 was getting remade and 7 and beyond? It's like they're all just old ass episodes anyway, right? It's just like what made those episodes earn the right, to not be that. I don't know, but I guess I don't know what I would have done. What would I do in that situation? I would probably watch 1 through 4, then 5 and 6, and then watch the rest of the series when a new episode releases, probably, because it would probably just make more sense. But yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's what I would do personally. In that scenario. All right, let's head into the third episode, which is way shorter. It is titled Into the Cringiverse remake. The titles are different, by the way, which I think is interesting. Into the Cringiverse. Let's go. Okay, I just watched episode 3 of the Object Cringe remake Into the Cringiverse. And this episode tones itself down much more than the last one. There's much less chaos going on. So, the main reason why we have less chaos is just because there's less things. There's just less people. There's just kind of less people going on in this show now. So, why? Because they're all dead. Because the recovery center is broke. But why is it broke? It's broke because Pearly just kept trying to recover Good. And the machine was like, "What the hell is that?" I still don't know why you don't ask Good. I mean, Good would probably say no. But sometimes you can convince Good, as we saw at the end of this episode. You can convince Good from time to time to do stuff. So I'm just saying, Um, but yeah, I'm not even gonna lie. Blueberry's speech pattern is really interesting. Just sort of the way that Blueberry speaks. No, they are my friend. Like they just kind of in this way, but then they speak in this like they in this running sentences in a way. Like it's really interesting. Like Pearly gets eliminated. Like, hold on, what did you say? Hold on. No, 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 wait. Because a lot of people don't recognize your beauty, but there's also people who will. I don't really understand why everybody else doesn't think you're beautiful. Like, you see, it's a run on sentences that Blueberry speaks that give him this way of feeling. They feel extremely unscripted, just kind of in the way that it is, right? Presumably it is scripted, but it's scripted pretty well because it manages to feel unscripted, especially because it's not. By the way, Pearly did get eliminated. Yet again, I am not gonna judge its elimination because the video was a long time ago. So what, 8 years ago? So yeah, in general, it just ends up being a bit complicated for me to know what the original Pearly did. Maybe original Pearly was even more annoying, So yeah. Goodbye, Pearly. They leave. And by the way, I'm just gonna say there's a very weird absence of Bad in this episode. Like, where did Bad go? I don't know. Bad's literally not a part of this episode. Like, where is bro? Like where is G? Like they should be here at some point, but they're not for some reason. And it's like weird, you know. Like I like Bad. I thought Bad was interesting. I want to see more Bad to try to figure out how bad. Like, is bad? Is good doesn't seem that good, but bad doesn't seem that bad. So I needed to know. I needed to see more, but then no more. So okay. And then the challenge ends up being to create a recovery center. So Dot, well, maybe they can't recover. They can recover a person. However, they have to be attached to Dot, which means that they can recreate somebody as long as they have um, an arm that as Dot is an arm, because like it the way that the art style has the dots for arms. So basically, they recreate Tune, no, not Tune, Note and Fidget Spinner, and they end up together because attached by one hand, and eventually they end up flying away. Flag ends up ordering one on Temu. By the way, Temu, ain't no way we're ordering stuff on Temu, because like when was Temu invented? Temu was founded in July of 2022. Yeah, Temu literally did not exist when the original Object Cringe episode 3 released. And I think that's kind of crazy, isn't it? Isn't that kind of crazy? Like, well. So, that, that's cool, you know? I don't know what the original joke was. Probably like, I mean, there's a possibility that it is an original joke, but if it is an original, that there, sorry, that there isn't an original joke, and this is the original joke, basically. Um, so like, oh no, let's order on Wish. They probably said back in the day, because Wish.com was like the meme website about the battle, but now it's Temu. So yeah, as an app. So that's fair. Um, Eventually crashing into an airplane. For some reason, Dot brings them up to the sky and decides to crash into an airplane. The sun says hello, by the way, just at random, which is interesting. I'm not gonna lie. I've been kind of half interested in the sun ever since we saw that the moon is there as well. Like the moon doesn't speak, but I'm curious. Why is the sun speak and the moon doesn't speak? I want to see the moon speak. Where's the moon? I need the moon. What happened? Why is the sun alive but not the moon? What is this? Favoritism. Favoritism will not be allowed. Not fair. Um, then eventually we end up having so a puffball speaker box, I guess is a brainy speaker box, ends up getting it. Blueberry ends up killing it out of just being scared because Blueberry is just random like that. They go to an alternate timeline with Car Keys, which is a character called Car Keys. Car Keys brings them up to introduce the rest, and everybody else just murders them because this is the universe where they stole Dream Island. Um, so what? I guess Car Keys is just the leafy variant. All right, that's cool. And then they end up in a new universe with evil Brainy, but we won't get to see what happens to them because I hope we eventually get to see what happens to them, but we do get to see what happens to them here. Because eventually Fidget Spinner, despite only having one arm and the other one being Daughter, and Note being increasingly uncomfortable as time passes, ends up somehow building a recovery machine, which means they win, so that's fair. But no, they don't actually, because Dot's team wins, because technically Dot recovered Fidget Spinner, and then Fidget Spinner with Dot, who created the recovery machine. I would argue that whoever brought it should have won. So I think Fidget Spinner should have won because they did bring it over with their hand. If Dot's hand or Dot and Toon's hand, or Dot and Note and the Fidget Spinner's hands had brought it, then I think that it would have been Dot's team winning. But okay, I understand the reasoning that Flaggy gave. All right, who's getting eliminated? Probably Tomato, but I don't really know. This episode, Tomato wasn't actually that evil, so it could be Gravestone, but yet again, the elimination is on an episode that isn't this episode, so there's not much we can really review. All right, that's episode 3. I mean, it's a relatively chill episode. It's way less cringe than the other ones. Let's head into episode 4, and of course the latest one. It is titled Chromophobe's Nightmare Remake. Let's go. Hello, I have just come back from watching Object Cringe 4. I watched it a little while ago. But we have here an interesting episode where we have a couple of discussions about some characters. We have Muggy and Pebble talk, which are maybe the only two characters that are not constantly screaming in your ear, alongside like Blueberry maybe, but even then. They're talking about how Frisbee keeps telling bad stories and stuff. So yeah, and Pebble is just honest. Muggy and Pebble, actually normal people in the show. Don't expect to really see them, but they are doing it. It's like his Gravey under the bleachers, like what? But I'm glad that they believe. So we start off here by talking about cheesiness at the beginning. And then we eventually get Muggy into the alliance because Forky said so. So, that makes sense. Then evil good and evil bad join in as they're just there. Like, yeah, they're just there because Brainy eventually got back with them because somehow, okay, honestly, the most impressive thing is that brainy speaker box managed to get evil good and evil bad to actually cooperate enough to form a multiversal portal back here. That might be the most impressive thing that's happened. Because those two seem like very, very impossible to coordinate with. You know, like how do you even do that? But they did do that. So you know what? That's fair. Fair enough. You did good. Um, but then we end up having the elimination here hosted by Good, with Notes and a fidget spinner is yet again continuing to be attached by Dot. And then Good gets upset. It's like, yo, this ain't important. So then they bring them out to the front of the class, and Fidget Spinner wanted to try to ask No out, I think, but I don't really understand. Because, they're speaking with the lingo. I'm about to shoot my shot like I'm Devin Booker. Can I beg you? Yeah, I don't think Toon understood that. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think Note was a big understander of that. So then everybody ends up eliminated because Dot and Fidget Spinner were combined. So everybody's eliminated. And Good finds that funny because you see, Good isn't good. Good. Stop. Why is Good bad and bad good? Why are we swapping them? Why are we swapping them? Why is Bad the co-host? Can we have Bad be the good host? Yeah. I don't really know. The way that these two are like swapped, but also not. But Bad is nice, kind of really. While Good is like mean. It's like interesting. So they decide now after that unfair elimination to choose the other host, which is Evil Good, because like they're the only other people that can host. So then we have ourselves an election, and then we get to find out the proper election. If you just say shit, you will win. If you just say shit in a way that sounds like you're convinced and you are correct and you are convinced and you are correct, then you will also immediately win. And by 50.1%, they do end up winning. The other side just tries saying, yo, look, did you see it? But then they say no. And it's like, well, if you say no, it has to be true. It just literally has to. But we have the intro, which, by the way, I did spot that the title at the end is changed to Has Been Hotel because, yes, they're swearing. So it's the Has Been Hotel joke. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Fair, fair. I wonder if this was the joke at the time. I don't think Has Been might have had a pilot at the time. Or was it Hell of a Ball? I don't even remember. Hold on. Has Been Hotel was first episode date 2019. Is that true? 2019. So Has Been Hotel did not exist back in the day, I think. Which is, yeah. So that's not. So it wasn't a fig, which is interesting. But now that it exists, it changes. So yeah. The pilot for Hello Boss was also in 2019. Damn, those were both 2019. But yeah, which made like because like if it was a new joke, you'd immediately think, oh, they're doing a VivziePod joke, but VivziePod wasn't a thing yet. Like that wasn't a famous person yet. So I think it's interesting in the context of a remake here. Um, then they end up making a ballroom all to themselves and murder everybody who's not red, and it ends up being chaos. And they're like, shit, how do we stop them? They invent a few tactics that don't work. Not gonna lie. To dismantle it from the inside. No, dismantle it from the outside. No, this does not work. The police also don't really work because and then we end up having a couple of things. We had a wait. What was there was a line which I was gonna talk about, but I don't really remember, to be honest. But yeah, the police said that. So yeah. Evil Good. Oh yeah, Evil Good stole all the money in my bank account and gave it to Israel. What a line. Okay, yeah. I mean, but it's interesting. I think this whole episode is interesting because it's kind of a political gag. Like it's a political gag episode in an interesting way, where it's like it's of course kind of modern. It's kind of upset at the world, especially like you can tell. Like I don't have to tell you that it's a Trump joke because it is. There's a credit at the end. like and in a way it's just the way that the episode is. It just is like that. And it makes a very interesting thing because it's like we're remaking an episode. So I'd usually expect sometimes that there would have been more of an effort to make the episode more timeless in a way, right? Because of course, I mean, while this is of course it's a topic with jokes, and there are topical jokes in this episode, there also are jokes that aren't uh like you don't necessarily need to make them and it makes the show necessarily last longer because it can go on into the future, right? Because it's not going to be, because you don't want it to be 30 20 30 and then you're needing to make a remake, right? Because oh no, in the remake we said stuff that's not that funny now because it's been too long, right? Like it's the new president Joseph Samaritan or whatever. So it's like it doesn't exactly fit with a future climate, right? Because like the joke, it's not gonna fly over people's heads. Like people know what happened in the past, but like it's not gonna be as topical. And in some shows, I don't mind. When I was talking about Object Invasion, I very specifically said that I did enjoy how Object Invasion was a show that fully allowed itself to play topical, and in that way that set itself apart from a lot of other object shows of the like top tier era, because Object Invasion directly is collaborating with culture in a sense, while other object shows feel like they're grounded to no memes allowed because it's cringe, right? In this, I don't mind it as an episode, as a thing in an episode. I just find it interesting how when we're remaking an old episode that didn't know these things, and now we're adding the time sensitive jokes to it, despite the fact that the original episode couldn't know of its existence, right? Which I think it's interesting, you know, in a way that a bunch of stuff isn't. So I would have probably expected it to be more topical because eventually the remake is gonna also feel old, which is interesting. But anyways, evil bad and evil good face compassion, which it seems to be the thing that they're allergic to because they're not, they're evil but not that evil. I must say that Forky is. I don't know what's going on because okay, so Flaggy and Forky are like pre like they were in a relationship pre-joining the show. Like this isn't a thing that happened in the show, it's just a thing that already was. But I'm not gonna lie, this girl mean. Forky, come on, be nicer, play nicer. Like come on, bro. What are you doing? But eventually they decide that they have to sing a song to get rid of evil bad and evil good, because if they sing a song about love and compassion and acceptance to all colors, because they only like red, it's gonna work. So they end up doing that. Other things that people went out, yes, I do enjoy the fact that when we're in Gravey's thoughts, it's like a emo like animation, like an emo comic. Like that's kind of funky. And then we eventually have an explosion and the song "Baby You're Evil," which, as far as I'm aware, is an original track. Although we don't exactly have we don't have like a great um like crediting system here, because like the credits last like 3 seconds. But yeah, we have a fun little music video. Note gets absolutely fucking shambled in it, which is it's so sad to see that like the one person who isn't enjoying the song is the Note person, like that's kind of crazy. But they end up having they're all singing and stuff, and they're being omega cheesy because they have to be ultra cheesy to be able to do it. The red flag ends up turning into a trans flag because it's it's a good, and also it stopped from red from being red because it's a little bit goofy that the like the red flag is literally benefiting from the evil bad and evil good society here, but okay. And then eventually the good wakes up from within and finds out. And eventually they get teleported to space. And yeah, as Mikey says, do we really have to settle for him? No. Maybe not. I don't know. I mean, look, if there's good and bad, what about neutral? Hear me out. Neutral. Neutral in comment. Nah, I mean, I don't know. The episode's already made. I can't give them ideas. But, yeah, that is episode 4 of Object Cringe. It's pretty solid. I mean, so far what I think of this show, as far as the remakes, they're doing a pretty good job at not feeling like they're remade. You know, like if you didn't, like if the remake wasn't there, I would be pretty solid in telling you, yep, that's an episode that was written. You know, just now. I mean, it uses stuff that implies that it's written just now, and it is animated pretty well. It's using maybe the one thing that feels a little bit weird is the length of each episode, because of course back in the day, you probably would have bigger varyings of length based on just how much time you have that weekend to make an episode, right? But it's like here, when we're dealing with a bit of a more professionalized situation, it becomes a bit more complicated because it ends up being a bit weird because you have a 6-minute episode, 13-minute, 6-minute, 13-minute, right? So then we end up having like a little bit like this double down of like every other episode's twice the length as usual. So it's like episode 1 and 3 just feel significantly less important and way more filler compared to 2 and 4, right? And I understand that this is a thing that's, you know, it's going to be difficult. It'd be difficult to fix, right? Because, right, you're dealing with a lore that's already written. But when an episode is, but like when it's a lower effort show and it's shorter overall, you can afford to have some episodes be more filler than others. But when we're making a show that feels pretty high effort, like this remake does feel, right, as usual, it's kind of weird when we're getting thrown an episode like episode 3 in the mix, where like it really feels filler because like nothing that important happens. Well, in episode 2, we have a lot of interesting and pretty good stuff happening, and in this episode we have a lot of interesting and pretty good stuff happening, right? So that's kind of the thing. We need to have a way to even out, like, despite the fact that we're dealing with an old episode, we need to try to find a way to even out the importance of each episode. Right, basically, that's the thing that we need here, to try to do, because the only thing about this show that feels a little bit off overall. But yeah, what else I got to say? Yeah, well, I'm gonna stop it here because I know that there's at least gonna be an episode 5 remake. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna watch the episode 5 and 6 remake at one day when they release. And then afterwards, I don't know. I'm going to need to check what exactly the plan is for this show. Because apparently episodes 1 through 6 are getting remade, but 6 through 12 are remaining as 7-year-old episodes, except 10 and 11, which were already remade. And I think there's another episode that's already remade. And then there's a show within the show that also takes place and is weird and doesn't really... It's a... Woo! It is chaos over these lands. But yeah, whatever is the next release of this, or unless people just really want me to watch it, you know, like, hey, if you are at this moment in the video and you have enjoyed me watching episodes 1 through 4 of Object Cringe Remake, and you want to see me look at the rest of the series, even if there hasn't been a new episode released, I can go do that. You just have to ask. I read all the comments, okay? But yeah, for the right now, I think this is the status where I'm going to pause the Object Cringe catch-up right here, wait for episode 5, and then we'll get. Alright? But yeah, it's going to be a little bit confusing. Anyways, as I do sometimes with original songs, baby, you're evil. Let's go. Okay, so as I do, I sing the songs. You get one take at this, alright? Yeah, one take at this, I promise. Let's see how I can do it. This song is a bit confusing, so let's hope for the best. Confusing structurally.
Okay, close enough.
Evil guys, tell me why. When you are around, it makes me want to die. Baby, bring us back to how it used to be. Oh, violence in movies and says on TV. I mean, I know we did that before, but you don't know what I mean. Evil guys, get what makes us so bright. All different colors than just red, black, and white. And yes, I know that I'm red as well, but you need an assortment of guys to do it right. Basically, what we're saying is being evil is really lame. And they try to tell you that your color is wrong. Just turn and tell them we're all right. You're evil, baby. You're evil. You're evil, baby. You're evil. You're evil. Evil guys. Guess what makes us so bright? All different colors, not just red and white. And I know color thing doesn't work if I'm gray, but at least we're not evil. That's a star that people like. Not working, Gravey. We're not being cheesy enough. If it's the only way to break us free, it's time to bring in the cheese. They weren't Gravey, they're melting. Look. Oh, you're evil. This baby, you're evil. Baby, you're evil. Baby, you're evil. Cause baby, you're evil.
Note out of this.
Yeah, leave note out of it. Why don't you? Alright, and with that, the next object that we're going to be taking a look at is going to be POPTART PURSUE. Because there's time, alright? With the system, I get to pick one thing that I can look at. That is short, that's one episode, that's in the list of most popular, and indeed, this fits the bill. So, we will be taking a look at this because I am hilariously late to it. Even though it's not going to be, of course, be the main topic of the episode because Object Cringe remake was the topic of the episode and all that stuff, right? We will be taking a look at POPTART PURSUE because I really want to look at it. It's always just barely not been the thing I look at. It's like been the second thing on the list for like 1,000,000 years, but it's never been the top. There's always something above it. But I'm just gonna look at it when we're gonna talk about POPTART PURSUE, okay? Because I want to talk about POPTART PURSUE. It is created by Mooncookiez, which is a channel with 441 subscribers. POPTART PURSUE has been teased on this channel for ages now, over a year that this show has been worked on until its episode release 3 weeks ago. So better late than never. The Pursue begins. Hello there, it is I, back from watching POPTART PURSUE 1A. The Pursue begins. So, we begin here with our cast of people talking and having a heavy argument about what is the best Pop-Tart flavor, because these are the important questions in this timeline. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying one thing. I have not eaten a Pop-Tart, like, just ever in my life. Like, that's just not a thing I have done, because I am European. And I think, do they even have Pop-Tarts in Europe? I think they do have Pop-Tarts in Europe, but like, I just kind of don't, I don't know. I don't eat them. Okay, they're not a thing that I eat anyways, alright? But I'm sure it's good. It's like a cracker with like cream on it or whatever. But like, in general, I don't exactly have an opinion on the debate of what is the best Pop-Tart flavor. So I'm not gonna insert myself into the heated debate that is going on here between our characters. So we have a Czech, which is a character. They seem to be relatively methodical. Most of these characters actually tend to lean towards the logical range. Theorist is a bit more crazy, but other characters, I guess a couple are mean. Now they're all a relatively similar-ish personality style, but we really didn't get to see too much of them, you know? Like, there's the whole cheesy cracker that's trying to be a bit more emo, but it's also really nice though, right? Ink Bottle's I think a bit meaner overall, but just kind of acts as the smarter one sometimes. You know, there's Fierist, which as I said is a little bit more dookie crazy. Oh, so guys, if you do this, it'll do that. You know, like theorizing. Considering how long Pop Tart Pursuit has been in production, I wonder if this was before, if this cast was invented before MatPat retired, because I feel like Game Theory, well, Game Theory hasn't fallen off. It certainly, of course, is it keeps going in a different style where like the crazy OMG theories are kind of like they paused themselves a bit, right? Because the identity was so linked to the MatPat that now it's not really, because Game Theory has continued on without MatPat. But they're just debating eventually what the best Pop Tart flavor is, and they end up massively arguing. I must say that the animation styles are definitely clash a bit. Like especially like the beginning. I'm not gonna lie. I did unfortunately do the pretty disrespectful thing of checking the quality settings to see if it was a 1080. I know, that's kind of mean thing to do, but I checked it and it was. But yeah, I think the main thing about it is just that the vibrance changes depending on who's animating. Like each scene has random vibrance changes that it doesn't really feel like the same. So it's like even if you're giving the animators a chance, make the backgrounds, it's like there's got to be a degree of like colors to give in that to use, because otherwise the beginning is way too like the green just changes. The ground changes green. I'm telling you, bro. It becomes lighter and lighter as time passes. So yeah, eventually some people are trying to stop the debate, like check going like, yo, what if they're all equally the best flavor, because every person only has one favorite flavor, but if they're all different, so that means that there isn't a majority opinion, which means that they're all equally the best, which is fair. However, cheesy is like, nah, because you see there's crusty cement flavor a Pop Tart, which is real, apparently. No, it's not real. But there's crusty cement flavored, which is not the best, which is fair. So, I mean, basically, check worded it wrong. Basically, it's like all of the flavors that we said are the best flavors are the best flavors because none of them earned the majority. It's like, um, if there are 100 competitors and then 90 of them get a 0, but then 10 of them get a 1, that's just a shared first place between all of those 10 players, right? All of those 10 people. So it's like, yeah, it's not every flavor, it's just every flavor that was said ties and therefore is number 1. The flavors that weren't spoken about in the conversation for the best would not be in contention for the best. So that's like the thing that Czech wasn't understanding, and that's why this argument, you end up, Cheesy Cracker ends up winning it, despite the fact that she is wrong. Like, yeah, like yes, they can be multiple best. Um, what is the other flavors? I don't even know. Uh, Elmer's glue. Damn. Oh, it's like school glue. Okay. And then there's a bunch of other ones. AirPods flavor, Caesar salad flavor. No, what if Caesar salad flavor doesn't even sound that bad? I'm just gonna say it might be good. Um, but eventually, as they remain in the debate, you know who appears? Appears Whiteboardy, because they want to host a goofy little competition. They are one of those crazy hosts that will just kind of do what they're doing, not really taking too much to negativity. If you do anything that uh, stops the show from going on as intended, yeah, you are gonna get muted or deleted or any of that stuff. Just don't ask questions. No questions allowed, all right? We have the sticky note, which for some reason the audio only really plays on the right ear. I'm not really sure why. Oh, sorry. I'm not really sure why, but I think that's just a mistake on the audio editing department, because I don't know why the sticky block would only speak on the right ear. But yeah, that's quite bad for us headphone users. We have ourselves an intro which is pretty solid, although I'm not going to lie, when I was watching it, I originally thought that the Pop-Tarts themselves were contestants. I was like, wait, there aren't that many contestants. But yeah, that's fair. We get ourselves the characters in the show, a couple of cool little scenes. I wonder if they're going to happen in episodes, you know? Are we really going to be going into the middle of a desert to skateboard? I don't know, but if we do, that'd be pretty swag. And then after Banana Milk wakes up to a nightmare and just shouts at such an visceral shout. That one felt so real. And then gets shut up. We end up having a recovery cereal box. So not a recovery Pop-Tart box, just a cereal box that recovers people. So they've apparently always been there, which, alright, that's fair. We're doing, this is a profile, this is a B&B joke. I mean, it's a profile joke, you know. It's like, oh yeah, if you pan the camera to the left, I was there the whole time. It's like, okay, yeah, sure. And then eventually we end up having the solution, which is the ultimate Pop-Tart flavor, Infinity Pop-Tarts. So that is like, it's the perfect flavor. It is any flavor you want, but perfect. So 10 out of 10, perfection. No worry about it. Just all of that stuff. It's just a perfect flavor overall. Okay, so that is the best Pop-Tart flavor, is the Infinity flavor. And everybody wants to have the Pop-Tart flavor so that they can feel superior in the argument that they're having. That's apparently really important. That yes, this must be the best Pop-Tart flavor. And like, okay, I see. Um, they end up competing for it, and then after somebody gets freaking erased from existence, that's gotta not feel good. We end up having the competition. We have ourselves a second intro, an intro to the intro. I feel like there must have been a disagreement on when to start the intro, so we just did it in two different places. It's like the intro begins and then we get a little title card of the episode almost. We don't really get a title card of the episode. We just get a screen. We just get a screenshot of them at the movies, you know? There's Morse code here, which, by the way, yes, I did pause and go translate the Morse code manually because it's in an image and it's not copy pastable. Because yes, I'm like that. The Morse code, I didn't translate it super correctly, but it roughly says, I know you still feel guilt, so why do you carry on these strange things with the box? Or with a box, I don't know. But with a box. I think it's probably Vi box, right? Because that's like ye old English. But I know you still feel guilt, so why do you carry on these strange things with the box? I don't know what that means. I mean, the box could be the Pop-Tart box. Maybe. I mean, it's like, of course, I immediately get vibes of ARG, but I didn't see, at least from my viewing of it, I didn't see anything directly off with the video other than that Morse code. And it does appear right next to whiteboardy in that little freeze frame, which implies that we're talking to them. So why do you carry on these strange things with the box? But like with the box, because the only box I can think of is the Pop-Tart box, like, you know, the infinite Pop-Tart box. But these strange things with the box, I know you still feel guilt. So like it's continuing. So maybe they lied about something. Maybe they lied about the Pop-Tart box. Is that a thing? These strange things with the box. Okay. Why do you carry on these strange things with? I'm just trying. You know, this is one of the best tactics for figuring out stuff. Just repeat it over and over, and eventually you'll figure it out. I know you still feel guilt. Who? Whiteboardy feeling guilt. This is the least guilt feeling person of all time. Bro is like an algebraian on drugs. What in the like? How? Ain't no way you feel guilt. What? That's why the only reason I'm confused, because that doesn't feel like it would apply to the host, but it does. Okay, well, I mean, I don't think we get to know what it means. I think it's like that type of information that it's getting dropped in for the future, so that way later it's like, oh, hey, isn't it so cool that you could solve the lore by episode 3 when it only appears in episode 7? Like, something like that. But I feel like from right now in 1A, I don't think we get we are allowed to really get anything out of it, like a feel guilt. Like, what could that even mean? You know what I find really interesting is how there's like a title card, like this random other piece of art that appears before in the second intro. It's so interesting. It feels like a video game loading. It feels like a loading screen, it gave me loading screen vibes. It's just like, and then we get that little freeze frame, and then it fades out, and the game fades back in. Like it just feels like a loading screen, which I think is kind of funky. So, all right. Then we have ourselves some team picking. You get 20 minutes apparently to pick team names, to pick teams and the team names. So let's go here with our teams. The first team we have is Team The Bananas. So first of all, how many guys do you have? You have like 8 total, I think. Yeah, we have like a group of. No, wait, do we? Yes, no, yes. Yes, we have 8. Yes, we have 8. We have 8 contestants. Why is game theory not present in the cinema? What is bro doing? What happened? But so you have contestant base. They divide into 2 teams. So the first team, which ends up being the team with Go Bananas, ends up being the team with Check, the banana milk, the cheesy cracker, and game theory. Okay, I see. So that is Team Go Bananas. That team is pretty interesting. Again, I can't really gauge too much the characters yet. Like, they seem like relatively good friends. That team seems pretty solid with friendship. I mean, I do think people do find the Furious fella kind of annoying, and Check is the type of person that's gonna get annoyed. It's gonna be like, shut up. So we may have a disagreement on that end, but Cheesy Cracker and Banana Milk should be relatively okay, and they probably would listen to an idea from Check. So I think that team can cooperate. It's just Theorist is going to be a little bit complicated. I don't think people are going to cooperate with Theorist, but I think the other 3 get along pretty nicely. So they might need to lose one challenge to become a strong team. They're going to be a pretty strong team. And then the other team is called Team Testosterone because, I don't know, they're just trying to sound cool. With the PB&J, the ink bottle, the sticky note, and then the egg timer. I don't really know enough about it. I'm going to be honest, I don't know enough about these people. Egg timer spoke like 2 line. At timer spoke like 2 lines. Sticky note spoke like 1 line and was only on my right ear. My left ear didn't even get to catch any of it. The PB&J seemed pretty chill. The ink bottle seemed mean, I guess, but not really mean in the like team leader style way. So I don't know about this team. I mean, in theory, right now, I think they seem worse because they just have less personality over all 2 of them. But they could be better as well. Like we just need a 1B. We haven't seen any of them do a challenge. So we end up having ourselves a box in the sky where we end up playing Spleef. Spleef is the game. By the way, Spleef is the game. That's so hard to animate. How are we making Spleef the challenge? Good luck. Good luck. Absolutely good luck. Making Spleef work is going to require such dynamic movement of the characters themselves, right? In the way that they're going to have to run, they're going to have to jump, they're going to probably have to push each other. Animating tiles falling, animating people fall. Like, you're going to need to do a lot. Spleef is I debate a bad challenge idea entirely for that. It's just, in terms of a challenge, it's just really hard to make. It's just hard to do. There's not much to say, but it's just kind of hard to do. So I'm gonna say good luck to them. But for an episode 1, I mean, if they can do a good Spleef challenge here, I mean, it's gonna be the greatest show off of animation ever. They're gonna be like, yes, we are here to stay. We're here to prove our worth as an object show that can make it to the big leagues if we can make this episode. And you know what? If they can make a good Spleef challenge, I'm going to be impressed. I'm going to be convinced, dare I even say. All right? And yeah, eventually that's where the episode ends. So we don't get to see our Spleef challenge. But, I mean, look at... The show has been around for so long already, even though it's only episode 1A. Because, like, you can tell how... Like, look at how much fan art they have at the top. And it's all really cute as well. So it's all pretty solid. I must admit, one of the other top things that I will absolutely praise the show for, it has 8 contestants. Yes! I love me a show that isn't just trying to be again. You know how many shows I gotta go, yo, this show was great. If only it didn't have 400 characters and was finishing by 2053. Yeah, a lot of them. So the fact that this show has eight contestants, like 8 episodes at at the fastest, But if we have rejoins or debuts or just non-competition episodes, because of course we don't know what the elimination style of the show is going to be. The characters, they already know each other because they were talking before, so we could get away with contestant vote, because the characters do have prior knowledge of each other. But like in general, it is interesting to see, because yeah, that means that this show actually has an opportunity to finish. I know, crazy, but I mean, it's gonna need to become better at getting episodes out still, right? Because I mean, like if you release one episode a year, it'll be done in 8 years, which isn't great. Especially, I mean, we're releasing an A episode in a year of work, so like that's you know not very fast. So like it would be 8 episodes, 16 hours. So if you imagine it takes about a year to make an A and or B episode, that would be about fucking 1 year. No, 16 years. So that's a bit too slow. I mean, we gotta kind of pick it up the pace a little bit, because otherwise it's like, bro, what we doing? But like in general, the show is amazing. But I just noticed that there's hashtag Morse code. That's a thing. Hashtag Morse code. How many people use hashtag Morse code? Ain't no way. Hashtag secret. Okay. I mean, like, cool, I guess. All right then. Anyways, we do have some secret lore, I guess, as the hashtags don't not very hiddenly say. But yeah, that's POPTART PURSUE. I like it. I enjoy it. Where some things that we got to be fixing. I think that the animators just got to get a little bit of a more similar grasp of the environment. They have to get the same pitch. I think that we gotta sort out the audio issue for the sticky note, because the right ear, and if it's not an audio issue, then retcon it immediately and make it play on both ears, please. It's not fun to have a character only speaks on the right ear, and on mobile device you wouldn't even notice. Okay. Um, uh, and just kind of, I guess try to speed up production. I mean, of course, see how episodes are gonna do. This belief challenge is gonna be very hard to make. Good luck to y'all. And that is my look at POPTART PURSUE. Good stuff. All right, the next show that we're going to be taking a look at is going to be THOS. So we took a couple of days ago, we took a look at THOS 1, which is the Halloween object show created by Ray Adventures, as was requested. However, it just so happened that the literal day that I uploaded that video, like literally nearly the exact same time, it's about like half an hour out before or after I uploaded the video, I don't really know. Episode 2 released of THOS, and the first real one, I guess, it is titled Short-Lived Talents. If you forgot, we were in episode 1, we were late to Halloween. Everybody started frantically dancing, and then some weird zombie fella appeared, Algebraian style, and they might do something or another. We'll have to find out. As episode 2, Short-Lived Talents. Let's go. Okay, I just watched THOS 2, Short-Lived Talents. So I guess you could say that this is a slice of life show, but it's more like a speed run of it's more like a competitive eater eating a pizza slice as quickly as possible so they get another one for free, yeah, type of show. It's so fast. Like, it has this interesting vibe to it because of the audio. Okay, so the audio of the show is really interesting because the characters speak in a very eccentric way. They speak with very different voices, but they all feel mildly exaggerated. And the music and sound, there's sound effects galore, and there's music a lot of the time. and it's that classic music, that classic Disney style music. So it ends up giving that Looney Tunes esque vibe to this. It's like, what if you took Looney Tunes, okay, you gave it the energy of an object show, the franticness and energy of an object show, and just because you're bored, you speed it up by 1.25 times speed. That's pretty much what I would imagine this. That's pretty much how I would best describe this. So let's break it down. We start off here with the Ghost and Skull trying to, they're sad because Halloween's over and they want to do stuff, but nobody's here, which means that they gotta hang out with people. They're trying to find somebody else to hang out with. So there's Candy Corn. Apparently, Candy Corn's weird. They make fan fiction of a pink guy. I mean, I know that Square One and Ray Adventures are friends, so there could be a little collaboration going on. I'm not. I mean, Pinga is the host of the One Take Object Show, so that is interesting. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. That's pretty interesting. So I do find that pretty interesting. So maybe Candy Corn is writing fanfiction about them, which I must say is a little bit weird. I mean, they did just have a divorce. Apparently the Candy is too busy drawing. I mean, she might be drawing the fan fiction. She's literally blushing. And then Ray doesn't even count. There's the demon fella that doesn't like the holy water. That makes sense. Then we have got ourselves the thing. So also in the one take object, I remember that I praised the whole ultra over realism scene because it was, it surprised me because I wasn't expecting it. Here we're getting more usage of that in its full force, and you know what? It's a skill. It manages to look very unique and good, I must say. Fair enough. I approve of it. It does sometimes sometimes it makes the characters just looks like they just fell in coal or something and they look dirty. But other than that, it's like, no, too much. Candy Corn sings a Christmas song, dies. The zombie wants pencil sharpeners. That's fair enough. Then there's another guy called Delta that suggests that don't whiz on the electric fence. What does that even mean? I don't know, but they don't actually play that game. They instead play a talent show hosted by a hazmat suit. The amount of people that are suddenly getting introduced to this universe is pretty crazy, considering this universe is literally the white void. But alright then. We have our talent show. Ghost tries to do a talent show, ends up shooting someone instead. Gets disqualified. Candy does a talent that I don't even remember what the talent was. It was to play a rock theme, and I mean they don't win, but I guess by default they win because everybody else lost. Then the devil comes back. The devil, you see, they have such a voice to the way that the devil didn't have that voice when they arrived the first time. I'm genuinely the way that this is mixed with the Louis Tuesday sound and effect almost makes me think that this isn't audio. This isn't a voice at the show. I almost for a moment was like, hold up, is this taking a different audio? Is this an animation of an audio? But I don't think it is. I think it's original, but it's interesting because how I doubted it in the first place. Because it's kind of interesting. You see the running away, it's so classic sound. The song that plays there is so classic. Have a debut, which I mean, about 3 characters debuted here, so I mean, you can just add them really. We have Jeff the Killer, who, like a ghost said, they don't love blood. Interesting. Pebble says, I think, and I quote, I goon to a decimal. What? I mean, look, I'm saying, I've already seen a Pebble today, Object Cringe. I mean, I don't even, I don't even know what to think about that. TV is doing wants to watch yellow or orange, but they're debating on whether Dr. Pepper or Coca-Cola is better. And then there's just the bat, which I mean, it would fit for the Halloween object show, but their asset isn't the best cropped. I mean, who would I vote for? I don't, dude, I don't know. Probably $100 because everybody would find it. No, I'd vote Jeff because I think Jeff would be funny. With the type energy of this show, probably Jeff. But yeah, it's a little bit of a chaos. Absolute chaos is going on in this show, bro. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty solid. It's kind of difficult. It's more of a slice of life chaos type show. I would probably relax it a little bit. I mean, it is interesting, but like at the same time, it's like the thing about Looney Tunes something that also is cool is that like there is a plot. Right, but it's like, like you can have a chaotic thing, but you gotta have a plot that happens, right? It's like, oh, yo, we're doing a talent show. Okay, then you do the talent show, but the problem is that the talent show randomly ends and we don't get to see what happens with it, right? Like, sure, you can have a frantic, fast-paced, chaotic show, but it still, in my opinion, should be a frantic, chaotic object show with a plot, with a story attached to it. Even if it goes by chaotically, it should still have one. Because if it doesn't have one, it just feels like I've just watched 10-second skits for 2 minutes, Like, it doesn't feel like I'm not feeling connected if there's no plot line happening. Like, again, you can keep the high energy and make it random and chaotic, but there has to be a focus to a certain extent, you know? Like, what do you mean we're debuting? We're debuting to the show? Like, because it's not a competition. It's kind of weird. But other than that, the show's fun, animation's fun, voice acting's great. The style of it's very interesting, it's very different. And overall, it's just curious. But if we could have episodes of this style, but with a more cohesive plot line that actually goes in from start to finish, then yeah, I think we would be Gucci. But currently, we're not quite Gucci. We're currently at I don't know, 7.5 out of 10. I would say pretty solid. But yeah, it could have more substance to it. All right, that's Foss 2. Next. Okay, and the final thing that we're going to be taking a look at today, final to not have too big of a day. I mean, look, yesterday I gave y'all a 4-hour long video after already an Omega episode. Okay, this is going to fill both a keep up quota and a request quota at the same time. So I'm going to call this, and it's 2 videos. So I'm going to keep this as something to look at. But look, if you've done a request, I am definitely keeping an eye on it. If you've released a new episode, I'm definitely keeping an eye on it. I keep an eye on everything. We're going to take a look at Untitled Insanity. So Untitled Insanity is technically not an object show under like nearly any circumstance of it, but it's completely a human show, but it's animated by an object show creator. It is wants to be an object show in a way. It's kind of weird, even though it's not. It kind of wants to be an object show, and one of my main criterias for being an object show is, do you want to be one? And in this case, the answer is yes. So Untitled Insanity 2 released the other day. It's called, with the episode The Bag of Independing Doom. However, of course, before we can watch that, we have to watch episode 1. Episode 1 of Untitled Insanity is titled The Lemonade Stand. Let's find out what this show's all about, this human show. Okay, I mean, look, I've talked about tons of stick figures before, so time to talk about humans that, the lines are a bit thicker. All right, let's go. Okay, so I just watched episode 1 of Untitled Insanity, The Lemonade Stand, and this is definitely one of the weirdest videos I've watched on Catchup. Absolutely. I mean, it is it's such a hard to describe show. Like, I genuinely cannot describe it. I don't know the words to describe what this is. It's a slice of life, sort of cartoon style episode thing. That's like SpongeBob style of like music, I guess, with like Gumball style chaos and unfocusedness to the plot, but a general object show animation and writing, which makes it just just absolutely just an incredible little thing, in terms of just like raw vibe. Like, the raw vibes that this show gives out are completely different to the raw vibes that pretty much any other show is going to give out. Now, the real question is, are these vibes good? The answer is kind of. I wasn't 100% sold on this. I'm not 100% sold, but I am intrigued, I guess. Um, So we start off here with the idea that the three buddies that we have end up working together to do something different for once, like run a lemonade stand. All right, run a lemonade stand. So then we have our trio of like I don't remember their names already. I gotta be honest, I'm quite bad at it. One of them was called Michael, but so they go build a lemonade stand. They go to the Walmart, and then they fucking burn, and they burn the Walmart down. As you do, we have ourselves a little intro of them causing chaos. It's BFDI inspired as well. And it's also it's not a total drum. It's like something else, but yeah. And then we have a SpongeBob title card right after. The best way that I don't. Okay, so you know what? I think this is pretty smart. I think this is pretty smart because it manages to take a script, okay? Because the thing about this script is while it is very object show like letter, it's like a love letter almost in the way that like it gives off so many references and it says so many things and it kind of implies a lot, but in general as a script it's not actually that unbelievably crazy. You know, like it's like okay, they're gonna do stuff, but they're goofing around. They're pretty bad. It's like the humor is fine. You know, it's like oh, they're not gonna shoot you if you ask, and then they ask and you do, and they do shoot you, right? Um, or it's like oh hey, there's a chase scene, and then somebody's sad because they said that they hate you, and then eventually they go do a chase scene and try throwing a boomerang and it doesn't work. Like it's not an unbelievable script. You know, I'm just gonna say it's like a fine. It was a fine watch. I wasn't amazed, right? But it eventually, but it manages to make itself just give this vibe to it because it's animated in an object show style, but with an object show script almost, but with this animation style with humans in it and all that stuff, which just gives it an entirely different vibe, and it makes even this, in my opinion, pretty standard script that I don't really care that much about into something that is very very intriguing to watch. So as far as the decision goes, I think it's very very smart. You know, it manages to make something completely different than the rest. It's completely unique, and it's all pretty solid. Um, Honestly, just like with the last show that we took a look at, which was the second episode of THOS, I'm actually going to need to recycle the same critique, even though they have nothing to do with each other. I am personally not a fan of shows that completely disregard their plot. You know, like I don't mind the slice of life show. I just need the slice of life episode to have like a cohesive idea of what it is. You know, because it's like, oh no, this episode's about a lemonade stand. But the problem is, it they spent like 2 minutes of the episode trying to sell lemonade, and then they get distracted for like the other 7 minutes doing random bullshit, right? And now at the end, they're gonna go into the multiverse. And they can't sell lemonade there, so it's like it's not really that. In my opinion, it's just not focused. And personally, I'm not a big fan of shows that aren't focused and that aren't like they're completely unfocused like this is. You know, it's like even though like one of my favorite shows is Gumball, but like Gumball is focused. You know, like yeah, it's completely random in the sense that every quest is gonna be achieved randomly in a random way, but it's focused in the sense that that is what we're trying to do in the episode with nearly a full focus. You know, like we're trying to do this in the episode. There's not too many side quests in the episode, right? Um, Whereas in this, it just kind of feels like there is, you know, because it's like they weren't necessarily bringing back the cart to because they needed it for the lemonade. They were just bringing it back because like they were going off to do random tangents. Even the characters themselves eventually has to get written into the bloody script. Oh hey, we should probably do the lemonade stand. Like somebody had to write that in because like oh shit, we wrote bullshit for 3 pages, you know. And so it's like I'm not a big fan of when that happened. However, in general, that's why I find the script not that interesting. But I do think that the animation immediately and the style immediately makes it quite interesting to see. Because you can tell it's kind of an object script. Like you see, the tactic of taking the hair and then throwing it like a lasso to catch the wagon. It's like, this is an object show thing. You know, it's an object show thing. It's like what you do. You grab a rubber, like, oh hey, let me use this part of you. You know, like when they grab of a character and then they form a lasso with it. I can't imagine a character right now that you could do that with. But like they do that, but it said it's a human, so it's just kind of, there's this surrealism. It's very surreal in the style that it is. You know, we have this other fella. They lick the ear for some reason. They get taken away by an eagle. That's, I think, also an object show joke that people do sometimes. Oh yeah, they start making a tree house. Why do they make a tree house? What's the point of that? I don't know. Yes, lemonade stand episode, guys. It's like, bro. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm a fan of goofballing, but goofballing to a certain extent. I think goofballing to this extent it's a bit too random. So they just spend like half a day the entire day sleeping in their tent, bro. And then eventually they make the lemonade stand. They can't find somebody to serve it to. They eventually serve it to an old man. Apparently they have lemonade. You know what's interesting? I swear to God, this bro's eyes are glowing. I swear. Is it just me? Hold on. I I don't know why this one guy, which I don't remember the name. You might be the one called Mike. One of them was called Mike. um, bro, like they're the one who served the lemonade to the old man. Are their eyes glowing, or am I going insane? I swear they are. But either way, they drink the lemonade and eventually die, and are now on a gravestone. So then the black fella is super upset. I don't remember the name. So then they end up on the tug of war, which ends up being the technological universal gate, which shifts realities. However, they're using it as a tug of war machine, which means that unfortunately they will now explode and enter the multiverse, which we will only see in episode 2 of it, which yeah, certainly is something. So yeah, that's kind of it. You see how it really didn't have that much to recap about it. It's just, I don't know. I didn't find the script that interesting. Like, I don't know. I feel like this isn't really my style. It's not my style of script, basically. They goofball for too long. Then it's not that interesting. The gags are okay, but they're relatively predictable. It's like it's a bunch of people saying, "Yo, this is fine," and it's like, "Nope, it's not fine." You know, like they do that guy quite a lot. um, it's like, "Oh, let's hold on. Oh, it's gonna be fine. They won't burn the store down, and then they burn the store down. Um, uh, Oh, he'll be fine. He just that he needs water. Just give him the lemonade. He's not fine. Oh, it's fine. The time machine thing won't explode. It explodes. You know, like we're using that writing system quite a lot. It is nighttime, so I might be more unhinged mode. But in general, it's like it's fine. It's fine. It definitely, however, I think it benefits from the fact from its animation style. Then I say it hinders it because it makes it a completely unique show. It takes the script, which in my opinion, as I've said, is meh, and it makes it completely unique to itself, which I must say is it's a genius move. It's an absolutely genius move. I mean, I'm trying to think if any other show that I know has this style, but I think they don't because like there's a reason why usually the people don't do this, and it's because it leads to characters moving very weirdly. But this show embraces the characters moving very weirdly, and it allows them to do that, so it makes sense. Another thing I'm gonna critique a little bit about this episode, I'm not gonna lie, the stock screaming sound effects library got a lot of love in this episode. I mean, the amount, like, there was definitely like 1 minute where there were like four separate screams or something, where they, like, when they were doing the tree house over there, that part that I mostly glossed over because it wasn't very important. Like, that part was like, it was very much so like a bunch of, there was shouts, because it was like, you shout that you're going up, then there's another shout that you hear when they eventually stop going up, and then they shout again when they're going back down, and then when they land, right? It's like, it's just all of that stuff. So I mean, I'm curious to see how episode 2 is gonna go, because the thing about a lot of these shows that are directly somewhat styled after cartoons, like, cartoons don't necessarily mostly work chronologically. Like, big episodes work chronologically, like going, like, episodes that actively change lore. But the average episode doesn't actually switch chronology. So that means that episode 2 theoretically shouldn't be like if it wants to be a SpongeBob style cartoon, it shouldn't technically be an episode, because the thing about cartoons episodes, that they're made to be capable of being watched individually, because you don't want to watch a whole season. But like, I don't think it's gonna do that, because we're said that we're having episode 1 part 2, which, by the way, this Untitled Insanity 2, that's not episode 1 part 2, that's just episode 2. So I don't know. I don't really know what I'm gonna be expecting here, but I am expecting that we're gonna be continuing, picking up where we left off, because we went in the whole timeline chamber thing. That was kind of weird. So let's go find out what the hell all of that stuff's on about, because it's time for episode 2, The Bag of Impending Doom. Let's go. Okay, I have just finished watching Untitled Insanity 2, The Bag of Independing Doom. So that is a very different video to what I was expecting. I'm going to be honest, I was expecting something completely different. I was expecting a continuation of episode 1, because it said that was going to exist. Episode 1 said that was going to exist, because apparently we were going to have episode 1. Stay tuned for episode 1 part 2. That was the thing that we heard. Because they went in whatever multiversal timeline they were doing, so that's the thing. However, that's not what we're taking place to in this episode, because in this episode we are doing a proper, like, it's a proper reset. Like, it's a cartoon in the way that a cartoon is, right? It's a completely new. It's like the fact that the last episode happened is completely irrelevant to anything. We're literally starting at the same spot that episode 1 starts with. So I am just gonna say here, as just a little bit of a recommendation, in this case, right, where we're doing a cartoon style show, right, where we're not necessarily progressing in like a major way from episode to episode, where there's like no grander plot arc unfolding, right, and there's no like bigger deal. Okay, um why not just get rid of the episode number? Why an episode number? Because an episode number is usually a bad thing. In YouTube, an episode number is usually quite bad, because it implies, that it's a second part of something. Usually people don't like when they have to watch a part, when like a part 2 is there, or like, when they see a part 3, because they feel like they have to watch part 1 and 2. But however, of course, nearly every Object show has episodic numbers, because, well, it is an episodic series. Like, to watch episode 3 of a show, you do actually need to watch episodes 1 and 2. But in this case, where we're doing a relatively slice of life show, where, however, the life doesn't necessarily change, it's like we're kind of starting at the same spot every time, we could just get rid of the episode number, and just have Untitled Insanity, and then the name of the title, The Bag of Independing Doom, and in the first one, what was the first one called? The Lemonade Scent, right? So, like, you can have these different style of episodes, especially because, it's styled after a cartoon, which does that, and a cartoon only has an episode number when they need to be listed all in a list. you know, like on IMDb. Like you'll never see in the show itself the episode number. It's just like when Wikipedia puts them, they eventually got to put them on a list, right? But or like a streaming service or whatever. Um, but like on the actual videos themselves, we don't actually have an episode number, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend an episode number. Anyway, so why am I blabbering on about episode numbers for 3 minutes? We have here an episode where we have a bag. A bag suddenly appears, and it is shaken, it is moving, it is causing noise, and it is in general being a hashtag problem. So our fella's Michael, which is, by the way, I figured out the name. Junior is the one which I said was Michael the other time. Michael is the black one, and then I think Eli is I guess the titular character in the sense that they're kind of like the first one that usually talks in the episode. They have the very long hoof in the hairstyle. So they're working by to try to get rid of the bag. They bring it home. They try to patch it up after it nearly opened, but nope, it's not exactly working. The bag decides to dunk cereal on Eli, who decides to go throw the trash out. They throw the trash out, and eventually it just keeps coming back. I like this. That gag's fun. I like that gag. That gag definitely gives me vibes of more proper cartoon as well. Of course, I did most of the chat about how the episode's animated the other time. It makes this whole thing seem very unique. Although in this episode, it definitely normalizes. It feels a lot more normal because we're not doing so much object show. You know, like the amount of object show references in this video decreases by like 70% compared to the other time. You know, like this feels much more like its own identity than it would an object show in this episode specifically. I am also gonna say this is a great title. The Back of Independing Doom. I love that title because it's impending doom, which is like doom will happen, but it's also like independing because it's independent. Like the bag is independent, which means that it moves on its own, it thinks on its own. So it's combining those two words, and they both make sense, and they're both cool, and it makes a cool title. So I like that. And it's very easy to misread. It's very easy to just read it correctly on accident. So I am actually a fan of that. But eventually we close the door. I don't even know what we're doing. It's like I don't. There's like this shocked face Eli that appears from time to time that ends up being a bit more weird. I think in general, this episode takes itself less serious. I don't know, because I want to say, when I was watching, I felt like this episode was taking itself less seriously than the others. It made more, like, meta gags, basically, right? Because, like, okay, taking itself seriously is different than just having a show with jokes, right? Because I believe a meta gag, right? You know, when there's meta gags like having a reaction image on the side, right? Or having the video, like for example, I remember another obvious show. You know, sometimes it pauses itself, right? I usually consider those to be more of a show acting as a meta gag. I believe usually the show is taking itself less seriously. In this case, I feel like it was because it had more of those with the way that it had like a bunch of jokes and stuff. Last time I think I did criticize the amount of shouting in the episode, which it's still a thing. It is still a thing. It's a bit less so, but to be fair to them, they are just in situations that need to shout a lot. But like, you know, they do still shout a lot. Eventually, they decide that they're tired of the bags, so they decide that they're gonna. After, by the way, you know how the bags are multiplying? They randomly stopped multiplying. I don't know why. What? Maybe they are schizophrenic. What the fuck's going on? Like, is this bag consistent or not? Where the 1 million, or is there one that moves? But eventually, they decide, nope, we're gonna take this away. So they eventually do take it away to the Walmart. That's a different mart. I like that is interest. I like that continuity. How it's a different the grocery store than the other one because the other one exploded. Therefore, we also have a different cashier. And eventually that bag ends up turning into a black hole because yes, because they felt like it. I don't know why we did that, but you know what? That's the title. Impending Doom. Black holes impending doom. Sure enough. So eventually everybody gets sucked in, and they are indeed debating until juniors end up going, nah, let's just I'm gonna go. While the other ones they're stuck over there, debating as they're about to get sucked into the black hole. And then yeah, okay, this is why I forgot about the gag at the end of the episode of Autistic Gamer 773. That is what I mean. That is the example of what I mean when a show takes itself less seriously. When it's like there's a character that obviously doesn't really make sense in the show's universe, right? The way that entire scene is animated is entirely unprofessional on purpose as a joke, right? I consider scenes like that to be the show not taking itself seriously, right? I think like when a show does that, I consider that type of scene the show acting as a joke show, basically, right? But it's different than just an episode doing a joke, right? There, the joke can still take itself seriously and have jokes in it. But when there's a directly meta joke in it, like the animation being bad, that I consider implying of a joke show, or at least a show that thinks of itself partially as a joke show, like this one seems to do. That is what I would imply. Okay, I completely forgot that example when I was talking earlier. It's like I swear I could remember example. Yeah, that's what it was. Eventually, they somehow get TP'd back. They decide to just burn the bag. It was that easy. Just burn the bag. Who needs, like, just burn the black hole, you know? Who needs, it apparently makes a pretty good fire. And then they're roasted marshmallow, and then the sky ends up having the Gamer 773 because they are, um, I guess taking over the world, and then the episode ends. So now we've so far had 2 out of 2 episodes that end with a pretty major shift in the timeline. But I'm sure episode 3 is going to pick up as left off. I'm curious if this means, because we're doing episode 2 and episode 1 is not titled 1A, just titled 1, if that episode 1 part 2 that was teased at the end of episode 1 was scrapped or something. Maybe it was cancelled, because like something along those lines might have happened, because I don't really know, but it possibly might have happened. I always find it kind of funny when we got credits that always credit one person. Look, sometimes I allow being self-indulgent like that. Sure, okay, it's fun, especially like the variants of the timzipoo, because like if you reverse timzipoo, it's like imzit, and that almost looks like a different name, to be honest. So yeah, that's fun. Like it doesn't sound obviously backwards until you like think about it. But yeah, that's Untitled Insanity. Very creative animation style that gives itself a standout among, a plethora of various shows. And the episodes are written kind of in the style of cartoons. They're a bit more shouty than I would personally enjoy in a cartoon. And they're maybe not focused enough on the plot. At least episode 1 wasn't. This one was. To be fair, more focused on the plot. We were always doing something in relation to the bag, right? And maybe didn't necessarily. The only thing that maybe dislike about the plot is that the bag seemed to not make any sense. You know, like the bag shook, and then it had telekinesis, and then it stayed still, and then it opened, and then it closed again, and then it suddenly healed, and then it was open, and then it closed, and then it multiplied, and then it got back together, and then it started shaking frantically, and then it opened, and then it closed, and then they brought it to the store, and it became a black hole. Then the black hole ended, and then it became back to normal. Like, it didn't really make any sense, right? Which is the one thing that I criticized about it. But we did. It is a better written episode than the last one, in my opinion, because it is more focused on a singular topic, like a cartoon. I just don't think that topic makes a lot of sense. So I'm still not going to give it high marks, but we are improving. I think episode 2 better than episode 1. Okay. But yeah, even with this, in my opinion, not the best written episodes, I think that it still gets away with it because, again, it manages to make itself just look extremely unique. I have not seen another object show that shows like this. If you know another object show that looks like this, let me know, because, I'm giving the praise because I personally have never seen it, but maybe this isn't inspired by another show. This happens sometimes. I remember I praised Halo Trinkets for the concept of the Dandy's War Trinket Hobby Show. Turns out that it was actually inspired by Trinket Trouble, which is the one that deserves credit for the idea. I believe this is the original idea of having the human in the object show drawn style, proper coning full on that. But maybe there's another show that does that. I don't know. But either way, we are all caught up for Untitled Insanity 2. Let's do an outro. Alright, and with that, we are going to be wrapping up today's episode of Object Catchup. You know what? For the fact that we didn't take a look at that many individual videos, it ends up being a pretty long little catch-up. For a moment, I thought I was like, I'm going to be kind of disappointed about today. Not going to take a look at that much. I was kind of busy, but I've actually ended up doing a pretty darn solid catch-up here today. Taking a look at some big boy object shows that we hadn't taken a look at in the other days. And also just kind of talking a bunch of stuff. Fine. Took a look at the POPTART Pursue. Took a look at a Object Cringe, kind of half through it. But yeah, it was solid. Next 2 days are gonna be, we're gonna have a lot of frantic releases. For the first time, we'll actually get to talk about in a couple of days, because season 4 episode 4 is releasing soon. BFDI, of course, coming in at 1st of December. Geiger Green promised that Animatic Battle should release, that 4B should release at the end of November. That was the idea. I'm not sure if they're still going to follow to that. There's other shows that are happening. I think 3EE is like the show by Wes Revers. I think it should be releasing in December, I think. So there's stuff that's apparently planned. But for the meanwhile, we just take a look at whatever is on the horizon. And yeah. Okay. That's all for these shows that we took a look at. Well, not really. We're gonna say we're all cut up, but we're not all cut up, because I haven't actually watched all of Object Cringe. For the specific videos that we took a look at in today's video, we're all caught up. Goodbye.